What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the NH Experience. Of course, I got a brand new special legendary guest in the building today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be on the planet. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Nick Hamilton LA, as well as on X, now known as Twitter, at Nick Hamilton 213. You can also catch us at nightcastmedia.com. Of course, my legendary guest is in the building. He's one of the premier voices of Atlanta and our culture, former radio host at 1079. He's a father, a professor. He's the owner and founder of Beehive Media and the host of Beehive TV on YouTube, where he is unapologetically ATL. He's the one and only Brian Hightower, known as Beehive. What's happening, brother?
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's going on, Nick?
Hey, man, I'm in the building with Radio Shorty. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, feeling good, feeling great in this thing. Another day above ground is definitely a blessing. Looking forward to more days to get the job done, to try to make an impact and being productive and of service, man.
Well, you're doing all three. I would say D, all of the above, because you are definitely doing out here, man. And I really admire what you have done and continue to do just from afar out here in LA, man.
Thank you.
Um, you have done some incredible work just over the course of time. And so, I've taken notes. I've watched you. I know we have a mutual friend. Shout out to the homie Brill
What up,
for
though,
connecting
Brill? Yeah.
us. you know, um, so I want to take it back just a little bit, if I may, because I know you got a ton of things going on. We're definitely going to get into that.
Yeah.
But growing up in Atlanta for you was like what exactly?
A regular experience, a regular West Side experience in Atlanta. I went to Atlanta Public School Systems. Schools, I went to Kyle Heights Elementary, which is on the west side between Bankhead and MLK. Southwest Middle School, which turned into Gene Young, which is off of Cascade, and Mays High School, which is off of Cascade as well. But I grew up in Ben Hill. I played ball in Ben Hill, which is Southwest Atlanta. So, I mean, everything between on the west side, the southwest side of Atlanta. That's where I was at. Humble beginnings, regular beginnings, just like everybody else, in the mix, having a good time, getting an education, trying to stay out of trouble. Might have got into a little trouble here and there, but I wasn't no real deal troublemaker, man. But sometimes trouble will find you, but I wasn't into none of that stuff. I was too busy trying to have a good time. For me, I was looking for the party, okay? Wherever the good time was at, that's where you was gonna find me at, man.
Absolutely. I mean, so going through everything, obviously learning from those experiences, meeting people along the way. What got you into wanting to do radio, into the radio space?
Actually, it was around the time I had met Jabril. We were over there at Clark Atlanta University. And I tell this story all the time to my students. When I got into college, my major was initially going to be education because I wanted to be a teacher, and also because I had a lot of educators in my family. So I felt like I had a point of reference to becoming an educator a lot easier than anything else. And then also, that's just what I enjoyed to do as far as just sharing information. However, I knew I was also a communicator. I was in the music, I was in the entertainment. So I was like, you know what, why not give radio a shot? And when I was in class, it was a guy named Ryan Moore that was also a student with me at the time. He turned out to be working at the radio station, and he heard me in class, just having a good time, chopping it up with everybody. Because like I said earlier, I was always looking for the party. So I was always having a good time. He said, come on up here to the radio station. I can help you get an internship. And long story short, I took him up on that offer, and I went up there to the radio station, and that's how I got on.
That's what's up, man. That's awesome. I remember reading somewhere where you had mentioned that it felt like were you ever going to get on in a sense because you had so many obstacles
Yeah,
that you had encountered. And I know, I realized that your grandfather was a pastor
that's right.
at a church in Atlanta. So how did your faith get you through those times to where you were able to persevere and continue to not only believe in yourself but believe in the craft that you have?
It's funny that you asked that question because I was literally doing another interview the other day and my grandfather came up, and the way you crafted your question is going to bring a totally different answer out of me than what I was talking about then. But it's still the same in the same vein. My grandfather, he was a notable pastor in Atlanta as well. So he fought in World War II.
Mm.
he was like 20 some years old fighting in World War II, but he had like a seventh grade education at that time fighting in the war. And when he came back home from World War II, he was like, I want to walk across a college campus. So when he came back, he only had a seventh grade education and he was 22 years old. So guess what? He was 22 years old in the seventh grade going back to school to get ready to try to go to college. It ain't no different than it is now. Imagine somebody that was 22 years old in your seventh grade class. Okay, it looked real crazy. But I say that to say when my grandfather told me that story, he was like, I would get on the train to go to school, and folks was like, hey man, look at your old self going to school at 20 some years old, going to middle school at that. He graduated early, you know, as quick as he could, and he opened up a few different churches and stuff like that. And during his matriculation with the different churches that he opened, there were times that he had to walk away from his churches and open up new churches. Long story short, his story alone, when he told me his story, let me know that you can't care about what nobody think about what you got going on. If it's on your spirit to get the job done, you got to go out there and get the job done. Sometimes your faith is all that you will have going through this journey. So you have to lean into your faith. But if you are walking with God and doing the right things, man, you will see God show up in times where you can't give nobody the credit but God. I've seen that over and over again in my life. With that being said, faith is probably the number one, you know, catalyst to my success. Because I mean, I had to believe in myself. I had to believe in God and I had to believe in myself. Those were the two biggest beliefs that I had to have because that's all I had. I didn't have nobody walking with me saying, hey man, you're gonna be great. Hey man, let me help you out here. Hey man, let me show you, let me introduce you to this person. Hey man, come on in here with us. No, I had to go and walk this thing along and I had to bust my ass and work hard. And also the other thing outside of faith is education. When all of those doors start closing on yourself, education is what kicks in and allows you to be able to figure out things. At Clark Atlanta University, the motto is find a way or make one. With that being said, when I got into my career in radio, that's what I was doing the whole time. I was finding ways and making ways for myself to be successful outside of the normal, you know, climbing up the ladder.
Yeah, I always said education goes beyond four walls and it never stops. So
Exactly.
that's dope that you were able to take that with you, man. And thanks for sharing that story, man. That's a
No
hell of a
problem.
story.
No problem.
Um, and I see now the ingenuity, the strength
Yeah.
that you exhibit to the public, man, is amazing.
Thank
You got on, you know, you made it on to 1079. You're hosting, you're also producing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you also were producer for Gangsta Grills Radio
Yeah,
at
I
that
produced
time?
for DJ Drama and DJ Sense Gangsta Grills Radio on Hot 1079 for a strong, probably about 8 years, man.
How was that experience? And what did you guys, how are you guys able to have that chemistry and be able to have it where it was a fine, well-oiled machine every week where the listeners can gravitate towards it?
Well, once again, when I said that I didn't have help, I didn't say that I didn't have direction. DJ Sense gave me some direction. He was the one who told me to start doing interviews. Now, he didn't set up the interviews for me and say, you need to do this, do that. He just said, hey, B, you need to start doing interviews, man. If you're trying to be great, that's something that you need to do. And he has always been something like a mentor to me that I will call and get information from throughout the whole time, too. Sense is another guy that's very smart and wise that, you know, when it comes to needing help or just needing somebody to give you some information, he is freely giving away that information. DJ Drama is one of the greatest of all times. Okay, so for me, I was able to work with a few different great people throughout my career. But DJ Drama, as far as the DJ and on-air personality, what you hear on those mixtapes or what you see on television, I saw it in real time. And to see that man in action in real time, it was like, oh my God, this is real. This ain't no he practicing and all this extra stuff. He would go in that studio and go off. I saw this man give a whole eulogy live on the radio to a person that had died in Atlanta in real time over music, bringing back music and just breaking records all at one time. And I was like, oh my God, what am I witnessing here? I've seen him go and record a whole mixtape in real time, being cut on the mic. Wham! Records the whole mixtape straight through, not stuttering at all. That guy is the truth. He has a gift for what he does. Sense had a gift for business. So, he was able to give me a lot of inspiration on the business side as far as telling me how to navigate the business. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He was good at giving direction. Sense will tell you, he knows what you need to do. Okay. So if you got a question, that would be great to go to Sense with that. But to be able to be involved with that, I was able to see greatness up close and personal. And I understood by the end of my tenure of working with them what it took to be great. But also, DJ Drama had his own studio. He wasn't just inside the radio station. And I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a good story. This is a story that changed my life too at the same time. It was a layoff at Radio 1. This was the first time I was fired. And I was laid off, went home looking crazy. Then I got a call from DJ Drama. And Drama called me, he said, hey, B, you can come over here and work with us at Sirius XM, man. I got you. I was like, my God, thank you, man. That's dope. But he told me something that stuck with me forever. He said, hey, man, that radio station ain't never made me or broke me. And when he said that, it changed my whole outlook on the game. It had just broke me. I didn't have no job. I was up the creek. But he was there working with me. Then he said, hey, man, that don't make me or break me. I said, okay, I got to get like you. See, it's those kind of moments and times and information that changes how you look at the game and how you feel about stuff. But when he said that right there, oh no, that changed everything for me. So when I went back, I said, hey, man, I can't never let me not working in a radio station break me ever again. And it never did.
No, that, you know what? That is pivotal, because I always said that if you got the ears to hear and you are able to soak up some of that game and that knowledge that you can get, because you made an interesting point earlier. You talked about information.
Yeah.
And I've had dialogue with different people, and I'm like, look, man, the biggest problem I have with people is their lack of transferring information from one human to the other, especially in our community, right? We always feel like, well, if I tell Beehive something, man, he might usurp me and he might get the thing and everybody gonna forget about me because I'm not mentally solidified in my position. Knowing that may not be the case.
Yeah.
But that's what hesitate. I feel like there's a lot of hesitance of us getting information. I understand the radio game is as competitive and it's a dog eat dog type of a situation. But were there any other DJs while you were in the radio game that when you saw outside of the stations that kind of gave you some game or you were able to talk to and kind of exchange information with?
See, the information, folks don't mind giving you the information. It's the plugs they don't give up.
That part.
Yeah, they ain't giving you. And then DJ Sense calls me as we just talked to him. Ain't that crazy?
Hey, man,
that's crazy. It's the plugs. Nobody gave me no plugs. I can tell you that right now. But as far as information, DJs, they in Atlanta, we did pretty good with sharing how to do this or how to do that, or this is what you need to do. Because I mean, that information kind of flowed freely. DJ Scream was another DJ that, I go back and forth with to this day, sharing information with him. And he's a good guy when it comes to getting information. Rashawn Ali showed me a lot of love early on. Carol Blackman, she's another Atlanta legend as far as radio. I produced her show as well. while I was producing Gangsta Grill's radio. And I learned so much from her. I mean, also same thing like with Drama. It wasn't even what they was telling me. It was just I watched Drama do hundreds of interviews.
Mhm.
So if you sit back and watch DJ Drama doing interviews, you watching Carol Blackman doing interviews. If you don't know how to do no interviews after watching them two greats, then you are a fool. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of my stuff, a lot of my information came from observation. It was more so an observation situation. So I observed the game, but I was able to observe some of the greatest people playing the game firsthand.
No, that's amazing, man. I
Mhm.
think when you say that, and then we talk about a lot of times talking about alignment, visualization, and so forth. At what point did you visualize Beehive TV and moving away from terrestrial radio and getting into the space that you're currently in now?
I knew this the whole time, Nick. I knew it the whole time. Uh, when I was in college, my professor Will, he told me in college that the future of radio will be internet radio. At that time, this is back in 04, 05, he told me that. You didn't have Pandora, you didn't have Spotify, you didn't have Apple Music. YouTube was probably just getting started. So internet radio was not even a thing. When I got into radio, I was looking around for internet radio and I found it through YouTube. That's why I realized I could do radio through YouTube. I had been trying to do pirate radio online. I was looking into that back in the day. I was looking for different ways I could stream my own radio station online and stuff like that back in the day. I was trying to figure out any way that I could create, my own personal platform for media. But YouTube just so happened to be the most easiest place for me to be able to do it at. Okay. So I mean, YouTube is where I found my home, and that was the easiest place. It was just upload the content and keep it moving.
Us growing up in the culture, we've been fortunate to witness a lot of greats, a lot of legends, even icons, dare I say,
That's
over the
right.
course of the last 30 years, at least 30, 35 years. Who are some of the great storytellers in hip hop? And do we have enough of those type of storytellers today in hip hop and music?
Okay. You talking about the lyricists or you talking about on the media side?
We'll start with lyricists and we'll go to the media side.
Okay. Uh Bun B is one of my favorite stories. He's my favorite rapper, period, point blank. Okay. Bun B. He's been on the show a few times, but also his music is just flat out aged so doggone well that I mean it's just ridiculous. And as far as telling a story and putting that pen to a pad, Bun B has a song called "The Story," which is one of my favorite songs of all time as well. Uh, Goody Mob, Soul Food, that album right there, basically, come on, man, it just uh it has Atlanta, man. All in that album, it's just basically the epitome of what Atlanta was at that time. If folks are asking about old Atlanta and what was Atlanta before it became Black Hollywood, that Soul Food album would explain everything that you were thinking about when you think about Atlanta. Of course, Outkast, you can't lose with Cass. Another storyteller, let me think. 8 Ball and MJG as well. They were some good storytellers. But those are my main squeezes when it comes to storytelling in hip hop. But Bun B is my favorite. On the media side of things, Charlemagne, I mean, the stories that he's been able to tell through the Breakfast Club, those are just flat out ridiculous. Sway, he's another one that, he's a damn cornerstone of the game. And also, I like Big Boy in LA as well, man. I like what Big Boy is doing over there. So, my big three when it comes to the radio side of telling a story would be Charlemagne, Sway, and Big Boy.
Are there any storytellers or story type of MCs in today's hip hop that you kind of gravitate towards or, listen to?
Kendrick Lamar would be the only one that I could think of. And then, it's a shame, when King Von passed, you started to listen to his music, you realize that man had some real talent and was telling some stories too. King Von was a good storyteller. He could have probably been one of the greatest of all time with the wave that he had if he would have been able to live long enough to, really hone his craft and craft it in. I like Big Crit too, man. Big Crit is a bad boy, but he never got the due and the respect that he deserved from the game. And also, I just feel like he just didn't feel like playing with these folks. He says, you know what, y'all can have this shit. I'm about to go and live my life, and I'm going to do this thing independently and just enjoy it the way I want to enjoy it. So I don't blame him either. But as far as young artists, I don't see any telling any stories. Maybe I'm out of touch. I don't know. But Kendrick would probably be the only one.
Yeah, I would have to say Kendrick. I think Crit is cold. He's so
Yeah.
underrated.
Yeah.
I think he's so underrated. And I think when I think back, like you mentioned about, like you said, old Atlanta or Atlanta pre
Yeah.
2005, 10, whatever. Yeah, I mean, even though I had cousins that lived in Atlanta, but
Mm-hmm.
I felt like in that era, when you listen to those records, you felt like you were there. Like they were giving you a tour guide. Almost,
Exactly.
like almost like JD's Welcome to Atlanta. Like even though he gave you a quick tour, but it was more extensive. Like when I listen to Southern Playlist of Cadillac music has always been my favorite, right?
That's the first CD I ever bought in my life, man.
Yeah. So I
Come on.
mean, and then when I listen, like I tell people all the time, like, oh, it's the West Coast. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
listen to all the Death Row stuff. Listen to Warren G. Listen to
Yeah.
Ice Cube. Listen to E40, Too
Yeah.
Short, RBL Posse, Spice One. All of those dudes will tell you exactly what you're doing. When Spice One had
Exactly.
Welcome to the Ghetto, he was talking about what was going on in the Bay and what was going on, essentially in our other areas, but mainly in the Bay. So you feel like,
Exactly.
I was in the Bay. I felt like, when you listen to other artists,
Mhm.
Mitchie Slick, and you felt like you was in San Diego. You listen to J.O., you listen to a lot.
Ice Cube, Today Was a Good Day was one of the greatest stories ever damn told.
Oh man, I would even say, dare I say, Gangsta Fairy Tale.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like,
Snoop Dogg, Lottie Dottie.
oh, first dude that got away with not being with the label of biting. People actually respected, even from the East Coast at that time. People respected, like, hey man, he's giving it up to Slick Rick. What can we say? He did it
Come
dope.
on.
And it was a West Coast. It didn't feel like a New York type track, even though it was because Slick Rick's from the East, but it still felt like it was homegrown. Like, okay,
Exactly.
blue chucks,
Exactly.
okay. He got the girl singing in the okay, yeah. All right, we feel that. That's LA.
Yeah.
Um, but I just feel like today's music doesn't have that same enthusiasm and that same individuality
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
in today's
Today's
music.
music is non-existent too, man. Due to the deaths and
Mhm.
Ricos and everything else that's going on, man, we lost a whole generation of hip hop, man. The next generation just kind of crumbled right up under our feet, and now we're left to revert back to the OGs that try to save the game. But we're in a real difficult situation right now.
Do you feel like the previous generation dropped the ball towards the newer generation
Uh,
as far as
no,
giving game? Okay.
uh. The newer generation, no, they didn't do the old generation didn't drop the ball passing them the baton.
Mhm.
The streets happened, man. Somehow, this death and murder culture, it entered the game. And we lost the whole, like I look back on my interviews, man. Like I said, I literally have 14 artists that I interviewed along my way who have passed. We're not talking about the ones that are in jail. We're talking about the people that have gone and passed. So, the OGs, there's only so much they can do. It was up to these young folks to, and they was really, a lot of them would have been my age now. They just didn't make it to be 40. Some of them would have been 35 right now. Some of them would have been 40. But these kids, they didn't they just it's a very I got conspiracies about it all because it just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Okay.
Right.
So, my thing is, I feel like they neutralize hip hop the same way they neutralize the Black Panthers. And I would just sit it right there with that.
It's interesting that you make that comment because I was watching an interview that you did not too long ago with the culture referee known as Ray Daniels, good
What
brother.
up, though, Ray? Yeah.
Uh, you guys had an interesting topic about capitalism in hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish you guys would have really been able to expand upon it, but I understand time and things of that
Yeah.
nature. But I thought it was a really interesting topic, and you made a point about neutralizing hip hop and where it's facilitated now. And the one thing I've always said was I remember reading a Black Enterprise article. I believe it was 2002 or 2003, and it had Jay-Z. I think it was 2001, might have been. It was Jay-Z and Dame Dash on the cover. And it
Mm-hmm.
said, and I still have the magazine to this day, and it said hip hop is going to be a $6 billion a year business.
Mm-hmm.
And after that article dropped, I
Mm-hmm.
swear it felt like overnight, but I'm sure it was probably a year or so after that is when hip hop really got commercial and it was no longer the hip hop that we knew about that. Do you have an issue with how hip hop has been commercialized from that time to where we are currently?
Well, let's just look at it, man. In the 90s, you had Master P, Jay Prince, Tony Draper, Dame Dash, Jay-Z, Suge Knight, Jermaine Dupri, the Rough Riders. You had so many late Cash Money. You had so many labels you couldn't name them all. These were men that were dealing with eight-figure budgets and generating nine figures. Where they at now? So you mean to tell me no young men after them grew up to want to be Master P? Nobody wanted to be Baby. Nobody wanted to be JD. Nobody wanted to be James Prince. Nobody wanted to be Tony Draper. Nobody wanted to be Jay-Z. Nobody wanted to be Dame Dash. Nobody wanted to be Suge Knight. Nobody wanted to be these people. Something has occurred for that not to be happening right now. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. But all I do know is that we had that then and we don't have it now. Something happened between then and now to where you have music coming out, but you don't have those type of figures participating in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
You do have a few. You had QC with Coach K and P.
Right.
Yo Gotti, he doing his thing over there with CMG. But those are the last of the great ones. Those are the last of the great ones. Other than them, I can't really name off the top of my head how many bosses. We had bosses in hip hop that were like, you know what? I'm not a rapper. I'm not about to get in front of the Diddy. I forgot about Diddy. Forgive me. Even though he might be going through his thing, he was doing his thing at once upon a time too. So Andre Harrell, Russell Simmons, we had
Mm-hmm.
all of these people heading labels and running stuff. Where are those type of people at now? There's a reason for that.
Yeah. And I would even say Dr. Dre with Aftermath because once
Dr.
Aftermath
Dre with
picked up,
Aftermath.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yes, I'm
know,
talking about. We had them all over the place. There was
yeah.
probably a good 30 different labels.
I mean, you had E40 sick with it.
Stick with
Uh,
it. Come on.
and there's only the out of the ones that we have all named, there's only a handful that are still around to this day. And half of those are not even in music anymore, per se, as full time.
Exactly. Exactly. None of them are around, but why didn't we get we got another generation of rappers. Why didn't we get another generation of CEOs? That's all I'm saying.
It's interesting because, I kind of ride the fence with that. And I say that because you mentioned some greats. And I think also, too, first time generational wealth is talking to other people that have grown to have it. It's a lot of weight on those shoulders that people don't really realize the responsibilities that come with it. And I don't even think majority of the ones realize the responsibility until you're already engulfed in it. But I do think too, some of that stuff, I would say maybe 40-50% was caused on themselves because of the choices that they made, unfortunately. Um,
Well, now I'm gonna hit you with this, Nick.
okay.
Okay, I'm about to bring it to your doorstep. We
All
grew
right.
up seeing them doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means in our age group, we should have peers that have those same titles. Why don't we got so you mean to tell me who was the 40-year-old? It ain't no 25-year-old CEO out here. Them boys was in their 20s doing that. Give me somebody in their 30s doing it. Give me somebody in their 40s doing it. After that age group, that demographic, all of those people I name are over 50 years old. After them, you mean to tell me for 10 years from the 40 to 50-year-old group, nobody wanted to be a CEO? You mean to tell me from the 30 to 40-year-olds that's out here right now, nobody wanted to be a CEO? You mean to tell me from the 20 to, and they did it in their 20s. Something happened to where those opportunities were not around by the time we came around. Those opportunities just weren't there. They weren't there no more.
No, that's real
Reason for
talk.
that.
No, that's real. Listen, that's real talk. I can't even.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. Because I think there's just different facets
Mm-hmm.
to trying to figure it out, like what specifically went down. I mean, obviously, we lost two giants. Big and Pac, tragically. We lost Eazy-E, who was another CEO, Ruthless Records. I can't
Yeah.
forget that. And Easy had it before majority of the people had talking
Come
about
on.
being CEOs and
Come
owning
on.
owning labels. It was Ruthless Records. It was Eazy-E.
Uncle Luke.
Yeah, Luke Records. I think when you look at and the problem too, I think you say about labels, right? They laid these gentlemen that you mentioned laid the foundation. But instead of a label, we need to have a record company. And I don't think anybody took that torch and elevated it, saying, okay, I don't just want a label, I want a record company, the Berry Gordy type of way. But then again, the other question remains, who was open for that to happen on a larger scale?
I talked to Jay Prince.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about him, Irv Gotti, and Suge Knight coming together to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, everybody started catching Fed cases.
Yikes.
Yeah. No, that's what he said. B, we was in there talking about doing this. Then next thing you know, he said somebody said something, but next thing you know, everybody was catching cases.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot to unpack for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I got a few more before I let you get on out of here. You
I'm here.
obviously rep the A tough. Respect.
Yeah.
When you think of Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be a music artist, politician, athlete, entertainer, who are 10 people that come to mind that you say these folks represent the A, whether it's old, whether it's new, but they still represent the A-town really well?
Dominique Wilkins. On the sports side, you got Dominique, you got Evander Holyfield, you got Deion Sanders. On the political side, you got, Martin Luther King, Andrew Young, Maynard Jackson. On the music side, you got Rico Wade, Jermaine Dupri, Dallas Austin, and you can't never go wrong with throwing a T.I. in there anyway. So that's the 10 right there.
Wow. Yeah. It's funny. I talked to Dominique about that, like who he felt. And I said, you ain't gonna put yourself in there? Because but he was so focused on, hey man, I'm just being me. And those are the people that I love because it was like, look, man, I know and he knows what he did. He knows what he means to that city.
Yeah.
And just to the culture itself.
Yeah.
When I think about just watching from afar, you knew Dominique was gonna do something special. When he would come out here to LA, you knew, but the love that he got and how pissed people were, which was arguably the worst trade, one of the worst trades in sports,
I'm
to get
still
rid of a
pissed.
man.
I'm still pissed.
Are you a Hawks fan? Now?
When
Okay.
Dominique was there,
Okay. Are you on now though?
I'm
Or
still a Hawks fan, but
okay. God
Dominique.
bless you.
Yeah, exactly. You see what I'm saying? Pray for me. Dominique was that dude, though. Dominique, I mean, we love watching him, man. And I'm still pissed that they traded him. And I'm pissed that he didn't make the dream team either. He should have been on that damn dream team.
At least Dream Team 2.
Come on.
At least Dream Team too. Yeah,
Come
I
on.
said the same thing when I saw Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
The man still has the record to this day of hitting a home run and running a touchdown in the same week. Ain't nobody replaced that record since.
Come on, man. Come on.
Uh, but when I look at certain things and I look at how the landscape has just grown, um, what do you is what does Trey Young mean to Atlanta? Not just the Hawks, but to the city, the people, the surrounding areas of Atlanta. What does he mean to y'all?
I don't know how big Trey is in the community,
Mhm.
but I do know on that court he gets busy. Okay. I don't know if Trey is doing a lot of shaking hands and kissing babies around here. But as far as what he does on that court, I respect it. And I think he's one of the greatest Hawks that we ever had. I'll say that.
Now, if he ends up leaving, will that end your Hawks season tickets?
No, no, these Hawks, they got to get it. The Hawks, I love the Hawks just simply because I'm a home team guy. But we ain't had no franchise player like Dominique since Dominique.
Mhm.
I love Trey, but I wouldn't put Trey above Dominique, what Dominique did down here. Dominique laid the smack down. Okay. So that's why I'm at with it. Until you give me somebody that put on the show every night like Dominique did, then hey, but I don't have no issues or no qualms against Trey either. He has played his game, but his game is not the game that I kind of grew up watching. You know, I come from that era. You know, you dunking on folks and all that stuff. All this raining threes, you know, I mean, I think it's cute, but I come from the era of Barkley, Dominique, Karl Malone. You know, you was getting I'm coming from the posterized era. Folks ain't getting posterized no more unless you
Hey,
shoot the three in the face. That ain't cute to me.
hey, man, I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s era when you had Grandmama and you had Alonzo Mourning and Muggsy
That's
Bogues
all
in
I'm
Charlotte.
saying. That's
And then you
all
had
I'm saying.
Shaq was out here destroying backboards.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You had Penny Hardaway. Like I grew up with,
Exactly.
Golden State and having,
Kevin Johnson would dunk on
oh,
your butt. Okay.
Dan Marley. Now Dan Marley was the one that was lighting you up with threes. That dude was,
Understand. He hit you with a three, but still dunk on your butt.
and don't let me start with the Rain Man in the glove up in
Oh
Seattle.
my God. Sean Kemp, really?
Gary Payton.
Come on,
Mm-mm,
man. Come on.
mm-mm,
It didn't
mm-mm.
get no better than that. So, I mean, I'm going to just be real. When it comes to basketball, I have an issue with that too. I feel like a lot of the just entertainment in general, man, all the way across the board has been watered down. I mean, I'm going to ask you, I got some questions for you, Nick.
All right, Behind, let's do
Okay,
it.
I got some questions for you. Okay, have you seen any movies in the 20 from the 2010s on up that can compare to Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, and
Mm,
Juice and New Jack City?
mm, mm. That's an excellent question. You know what? I will say this much. My memory serves me correctly. I think when you look at, I think more so it's changed
Mhm.
in this sense. I think it's more focused on series and
Mhm.
documentaries because everybody wants more, quote, reality.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's where it's evolved to. No, to answer
So,
your
what
question,
content have you seen that can compete with those
oh,
movies?
nothing,
On in
nothing, nothing. As far
Okay,
as
now,
films, nothing.
yeah, okay. Television, Fresh Prince, Martin, Family Matters. What television shows have you seen that can compete with Martin, Fresh Prince, and Family Matters? And I'll throw Living Singles in there too if
Oh,
I
you
think.
got all right. Come on, Beehive. Don't just live a single now. Come on.
Come on now, I'll throw Living Single in there too now. Have
I
you
would
seen any shows that's competing with those?
no. I would say, but I will say, there's one show that I think is really really good, and I think if you were putting them in the '90s, they would probably work. Now it would depend on what night you put it on,
Yeah,
and that's the Upshaws with Mike Epps and Kim Fields, and
yeah, that's a good show.
I would have to say that's one of my
Feel you.
favorite shows on that one on that tip when it comes to comedy. Because I think they really bring the old and new school element
That's
into it.
right.
They bridge it very, very well. Wanda Sykes, shout out to her, and her genius that she brings to the table.
Yep.
But that's like I said, if I'm thinking off the top of the dome, that's one of the shows I could think of. I mean, um, what am I thinking about? I mean, as far as comedies, there's really not a lot of comedy shows
Come on.
that I can think about. I think more dramatic, like I said earlier, how things have evolved. I can think of some dramatic shows that could
Yeah.
go in, get into it. But as far as comedy, man, nah.
Okay. I got another question. Who can compare to Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and Tony Braxton today?
Mm. There is no comparison. None.
Who's comparing to Tupac, Biggie, and Outkast today?
Kendrick Lamar.
That's what you got one.
Kendrick, I would say, see, this is where it gets tricky, Beehive, because it's some artists out there that ain't hit that main level.
I feel that.
And
I feel that.
so if I mention some of these names, if you let you entrenched in the game, especially
Yeah.
out here on the West Coast, and even some cats I've learned about down south, um, I can name some names, but most people ain't gonna catch on to it because
Yeah.
they haven't risen up as of yet.
Yep.
But when I look at there's some cats that's coming, and if they get their shot,
Okay.
yes.
I got another one. I got another one for you. So who would you compare to Dominique, Sean Kemp, and Larry Johnson? These are not dream teamers.
Mm-hmm.
These were not championship winners. But can you find B-list players like that in the NBA now?
B-list players, let me think. I think Anthony Edwards is on his way. I don't know if he's a quite A-list player yet. I think he's right there on the cusp of A and B. I think we need to see more in his resume.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say,
and that are as entertaining as they were. Because see,
I think Ant-Man is probably the closest because Ant-Man will say he will say whatever, he don't care.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. He's gonna speak it.
Exactly.
I think you say entertaining. Do we add controversy to that entertaining?
Well, now I'm gonna put it better like this. Dominique, Sean Kemp, and Larry Johnson all could give you the same highlights that John Morant was giving folks.
Mm-hmm.
That was just John Morant was just a common occurrence in the NBA back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Now he's one of a kind. And I'll ask you all of these questions just to say this. What the hell is going on to where entertainment across the board back then was so elite to where entertainment across the board now is just not the same? Why is it so watered down?
I think it's mentality, right? And I've always said, in listening to my pops who was active in the movement in the 60s, listening to some of his stories, their 60s was our 90s. That was our revolution. That was our revolution time.
Because ain't none of these folks stepping on no Dr. King or Malcolm X and that crew.
But I think in the in the 90s, though, when you think about it, right? We were running television. We had movies because it was brand new. They kicked the door open. I mean, from and props, and I have to say this too, because people forget about this tidbit of history. But Michael Harris was the one when it came to the stage plays, because black folks weren't all on television like that.
Come on.
He gave arguably one of the greatest actors, and a boost.
Platform. Yeah.
In Denzel Washington on the play circuit before Tyler Perry, and shout out to Tyler Perry, David E. Talbert, all these people. Michael Harris was the one that saw the vision and saw the light, and not just Denzel, but put other black folks in positions to thrive. So I think when you look at that, and then we came along with uh the Spike Lees, the John Singletons,
Mhm.
um, later on giving opportunities to other actors and actresses. And then you saw the television circuit come. You saw the Will Smiths coming from being the Fresh Prince to
That's
Quincy
right.
Jones and David Salmon saying, okay, this kid has something. Even though he had no acting experience,
That's
he
right.
had something. And it
Facts.
developed, and then we got a chance to see James Avery, God rest his soul, who's been a seasoned actor for years, but we just never really tapped into it.
Yeah.
Reginald Vell Johnson on Family Matters.
Yeah.
We saw LL Cool J within the house. We saw a different world. We saw the Cosby Show come to life. We
Mm.
saw Living Single and Martin and hell, even New York Undercover.
Come on.
Family Matters. We saw,
Yeah.
the Steve Harvey Show later on in the 90s, Moesha with Brandy. Uh,
Yeah.
different uh different types of quality shows that came out that
Mhm.
we were glued into. And I think because it was new for us, we had a hunger, we had a drive. And then again, we had a late great Tupac Shakur, who
Come
was
on, man.
our militant, focused, came from
Leader.
that era of the 60s,
Yeah.
with the Panther Party and coming this way. You
Facts.
Tribe Called Quest didn't sound like Snoop. Snoop
At
didn't
all.
sound like Scarface.
Come on.
Scarface didn't sound like Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Come
And the
on.
list goes on. Common didn't sound like Ice Cube. Uh,
Exactly.
MC Hammer, people want to, those, but Hammer was one of our biggest West Coast selling artists in the
He's
game.
one of my favorite artists of all time, and I just never appreciated folks hating on Hammer. It's like, I think that was that crab in the barrel. They saw Hammer get out of the barrel and go
Mhm.
national and make and become a pop culture icon, and folks started hating on him because they
Yeah,
couldn't do it.
yeah. And the thing about it is, Hammer helped hundreds of people.
Come on, man.
That man's heart was a heart of gold. He wasn't for play, or
Come
neither
on.
was his brother. But
Exactly.
as a kid, I heard stories like, "Hey, man, him, yeah, you can, shout out to Hammer and what he did, but them ain't the brothers you want to mess with."
Exactly.
Even my cousins up in Oakland used to tell me, "Hey, man, they ain't the brothers you want to mess with." But they gave love, they gave support, and Hammer gave everything he had. I mean,
That's
took
right.
brothers on tour that were in trouble in the neighborhood. Said, "Man, I'm gonna get you out of this. Come on, I can't pay you a whole lot, but I'm gonna get you out on the roads. You can see something." And a
Yeah.
lot of times that experience is more valuable than just me paying you 5 grand a month.
Come on, man.
And I listen, Hammer doing it, and I want to get your take on this too, Beehive, because I felt slighted during the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And
Mhm.
on the West Coast, it's been 43 years of hip hop.
Mm.
Um, at the time,
Yeah.
obviously.
No, I'm with you.
Um, and I felt two things. One, a lot of West Coast artists didn't get the props that they deserved.
Hmm.
Two, overall, there were several artists, producers that didn't get the recognition that they deserved. If we're going to celebrate 50 years of hip hop and honor that legacy, who did you feel rather, excuse me, was missing from those celebrations, those mentions, um, that should have been highlighted way more?
MC Hammer, that was the main one for me. MC Hammer, besides Hammer, a lot of people just didn't come out. See, I think with them 50 years of hip hop situations, that was on each city to handle their business. So in
Mhm.
Atlanta, what they wound up doing, they did a Falcons game, and it was a 50 years of hip hop celebration, and they gave all of the artists that ever meant anything to the city a Falcons jersey and brought them out there on the field and saluted them and celebrated them. Each city should have did that for their home team and the artists there. Okay. And that's just the bottom line. I think because he don't get it messed up too, man. I mean, let's just be real. So if Hammer, Snoop, Ice Cube, E40, Too Short, all of them came together and said, hey man, we're about to do a West Coast 50-year hip hop party. You don't think everybody would have came out to that? But see, that's on them. Sometimes you got to celebrate your damn self. Sometimes you got to pat yourself on the back. Waiting on somebody else to do it, it'll never come. I was just talking to when Beat King passed, it was a meme that went viral. He said, hey man, you gotta tell your own story because folks will write you out of history and act like you never existed. So that's one of the things that we have to do too, man. We got to make sure that we telling our own story. We raising up the people that we like and that we respect, and we show the love that we got to show out here, man.
Hey man, Rocky Fresh said it best. Sometimes they won't give you your own flowers, so you got to plant your own garden.
You damn right.
So
You're damn right.
I take that to heart. I will say the one I missed most, I think they should have highlighted the most was Eazy-E. I think what he represented, not just for Compton, not just for the West Coast, but for the culture in general, to let people know, hey man, you could come from wherever. If you got a dream and a few dollars,
come on,
make it happen. And I think that's what's missing with some of these young cats today. They can't see or fathom, hey man, I can make it. You know, I'm coming from this project over here, or this house over here, or this sidewalk over here. I can still make it. You know, they don't, and it's up to. I agree with you on this point. I think it's up to us, yourself, myself, others in the radio space, in the podcast space, in the television space, to continue to highlight these people. Because other than that, nobody's gonna show our history better than us.
Exactly. You got to control the narrative, man. Because if you don't, it's gonna wind up looking like something that you don't like. Shit.
You know, you talk about controlling narrative, man, but you definitely have controlled your narrative. I mean, you got an amazing set of studios, sir. And we ain't gonna just walk over that. We ain't gonna gloss over that now. That's major. That is major from a brother from the city I watch your videos, man. I see you be looking out that window, man. That is a beautiful skyline to watch. Let me tell you.
Well, see, the thing is that when I was making my transition from radio to independence, I wanted it to be seamless. I didn't want to look like I left the radio. So first of all, I had to leave the radio station anyway because of COVID. So during that time, we weren't able to continue to do radio inside and do interviews inside the radio station. So when that happened, I said, okay, it's time for me to kick my stuff on off. And that's when I started recording everything in my own personal spot. And from that point on, it's crazy, Nick, because I mean, I just had to, it kind of was a natural progression and trajectory. I got to thank God and for helping me out to make sure that I was able to get it done. And it's all been a blessing, man. But I mean, for the most part, now I'm looking to take it to where it needs to go. You know, I got to feel the dreams. Now I got to just, make some dreams happen on this thing.
And you in the process of doing that, because I noticed you mentioned a while ago your partner Wicked, Ghetto Mafia, and shout out to Wicked. A lot of stuff I agree with him. Some stuff I'll be like, come on, Wick, come on, man, come on, brother. I said, man, if I'm ever in the A and I'm running the B, I'm like, look, Wick, we gotta holler, man. What's going on? But no, I love that brother, man. Props to him and what he's been able to accomplish. And then also Turk, man, another legend, man, with the original Hot Boys, man. You working with those two. What made you reach out and say those are the two individuals I want to continue to elevate and build something with?
They both got the gift of gab. And they both were podcast partners. I mean, these was people that I could call if I need something. You see what I'm saying? If you can call somebody if you need something, then you might as well work with them. They could call me if they needed me. Also, they just both had the personalities. You got to have a personality and you got to have the gift of gab. Turk got it. Wick got it. They can carry on a conversation with anybody. They don't mind debating. They're opinionated too, and you need somebody that has an opinion out here. So they also just made good people for me to bounce ideas off of. And, both of them are amazing people outside of just doing the podcast, man. I mean, they some real good brothers that believe in community and culture and pulling up other people and getting the job done, man. So it was always an honor for me to be able to work with them. And then also, what's the platform if you ain't using it? You see what I'm saying? I'm a professor first and a podcaster second and a radio personality after that. As a professor, I'm more of a I like to give out the information and the help. So it's not more so about me, it's more so about what we can get done together. So Beehive TV, it's about what I was trying to create as a platform, but my platform, I created my platform for other people to shine. It's always been about other folks being able to shine and tell their stories through my platform. So the main goal was for me to grow the platform. After I grew the platform, now it's to grow personalities on the platform so that they can either start their own platform or they can continue to grow with mine.
And that speaks volumes to you and how you're able to, like we said earlier, know what your purpose is,
Yeah,
and
if you don't
confident.
know your purpose, you're gonna be chasing your tail. See, I understood
Hmm.
early that it wasn't for me to be some kind of mega superstar. If that happens, it happens, but it ain't nothing that I was searching for. And then also, as a married man with 4 kids, I'm a father first and a husband first. You see what I'm saying? So, I
Hmm.
mean, really, all that fame and success brings you a bunch of drama, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care to have women chasing me up and down the street because I'm married. So I don't need to be dealing with that damn stress at home, dealing with all the women chasing me. I can give a damn about a man hating on me or wanting to see what the hell I got. I don't give a damn about that at all. So admiration from people, I'm not here for no admiration. I'm here to pay these bills and move this culture forward at the same time. But number one is the bills. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get these bills paid. I ain't got time for all that fame and hating and all that shit. I don't care about all that, man. Let's get this money and let's get these goals accomplished.
Financial freedom, absolutely.
Exactly.
As stepping away from the hosting and the media side and just on the business level, I know you invited countless guests, and certain guests say certain things. Are you ever concerned from a business standpoint? Let's say one guest may talk about somebody out there in the space that you may want to say, "Hey, I want to bring them on,"
Yeah.
BITV. Are you ever concerned about their team looking at that particular interview and saying, you know what, we're gonna pass, or they might pass? Does that ever in the back of your mind, does that ever come across when you're making decisions on who you're gonna book?
How I do my situation, Nick, it's about who rocks with me. So if Turk came to me and he rocks with me the long way, I don't give a damn. I'm riding with Turk because he came to me
Hmm.
and he's been riding with me for the longest. So I don't care what that offends or who that offends. I'm gonna ride with who's riding with me. Also, I've been in the game long enough to where if you ain't been on my show by now, you ain't had no intention of coming on my damn show. So I don't care. I don't know you. You don't know me. We can keep it that way. Now, if you're talking about somebody that I know, I'll stop it because I'm not going to allow you to, I'm not going to start no shit between people I know.
Hmm.
And also, I don't even let folks go there with people that I don't know. You
Yeah.
know, I call it taking a pay cut for the culture, man. It's like I done missed out on probably thousands of dollars not putting out some content that would have rocked this culture's world. But it's like, no, I'm not putting it out because that's just not what I'm about. I don't want that attention either. I don't want that stress.
Hmm. No, and I mentioned that because recently I saw Pierce Morgan, who had uh, Jaguar Wright on, talking about a lot of celebrities, famous people, and then he had to go back a week later and retract and
Mm-hmm.
issue an apology to that. That's what made me kind of think about that question. Like, how do you, decide? Because
Yeah.
like you said, you don't want to start no shit with people, but then again, you still, if they got information, that
Yeah.
you feel like people can latch on to, that, it could be a slippery slope. So
Come on. Come
that's,
on. Now
that's
that's
why
the
I asked.
main thing. I don't want to I try to stay away from the drama as much as I can, Nick, because that drama, it don't do nothing but stress you the hell out.
Hmm.
And it ain't never that serious to have to deal with all of that stuff, man. So it's like, let me stay away from this drama. let me keep it cool and let me keep it moving. And that's where I'll be at with it, man.
There you go. Last thing before I let you get on out of here, I'm gonna put you on the spot, Bi.
I'm here
Now,
for it.
you got this media empire that's constantly growing. You out here, you in the public. I know people stopping you, slapping hands, shaking hands, kissing babies. You know all the good stuff that goes on. But how does Brian Hightower decompress from all of this? I know you said you're a father, you're a husband, you
Yeah.
got four beautiful kids. How do you decompress and get off the grid so you can recharge and get yourself, keep yourself together mentally?
I go home and I cool out, man. I don't touch nothing. I don't really do no work when I get back to the house. I used to work around the clock and then go home and still be on the computer trying to figure out something. I don't do that no more. I'm taking a lot more vacations than I used to take, man. From my whole 20s, man, I didn't really start taking vacations until my late damn 30s. Here I am 40 years old, about to be 41, and I'm like, man, and I look back over that time and it was like, yeah, you worked hard as hell so that you can do what you wanted to do when you hit your 40s. But still, I feel like I should have factored in some vacations in them 20s and in them 30s too. I could have did that. So for me now, I try to get in as many vacations as possible because the way I feel about life now, man, this shit ain't that damn serious, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't that damn serious trying to be the one. No, man, go out there and enjoy your life with your family and have a good time and relax. So I enjoy taking vacations with my wife, taking vacations with the kids, and I try to get those in as much as possible. If I ain't doing that, I'm sitting back on the couch, laid back, drinking and smoking.
Well said, my man. Well said. The one and only Brian Hightower of Beehive TV, Beehive Media. Thank you so much, man. Again, it's been an honor and a privilege to talk to you, man. I really appreciate what you're doing, just for entrepreneurs like myself and others, and also for the culture, man. It's a beautiful thing to see, and I'm definitely looking forward to your other adventures as well. If you got anything else you want to share before we get on out of here, man, the floor is yours.
Nick, I got to thank you, man, because I've witnessed your support over all of these years, man, and it means a lot to me. And I just want to thank you and salute you for the love that you have showed me over all this time. This was a great interview, and I'm here, man. Hit me up whenever.
Yeah, man, I'll be down in the A at some point, man. I don't know when exactly, but I'll be down there. I got to figure out what the dates are, you know.
When you come down, pull up on me. I'll be here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Are you going to Super Bowl in New Orleans?
Nah, I ain't fooling with that. No, that's the thing. I do my traveling with the family. It might be to a island or to a beach. We went out there to LA a while back to the kids
Okay.
to Universal Studios and peeked around out there. And I hadn't been there. That was my first time in LA at 40 years
What?
old, sir.
Oh man, when you come back to the city, man, we got a politic, man.
Oh yeah, now I'll be there for it, man, because I'm gonna make that trip a lot more, man. When I touch down out there, I said, man, I understood why so many people from Atlanta go out there and don't come back for like 5 and 10 years. I do get that.
Listen, I don't understand that because look here, I've been here all my life, and it's expensive, and as much BS that goes on politically out here.
Yeah.
And I looked at Atlanta, the outskirts of Atlanta, how cheap. Listen, I can go down to Atlanta right now, the outskirts, and buy me a piece of property right now. I can't do that here. I can't have no studio like you got in the city, man. I'll be out here. I'll be out here with a bunch of recycled cans or something. I got to do something else to keep the lights on.
Oh
You
my
know?
God, man.
Oh no, it's a great place to visit. I tell it to anybody. It's a great place.
Yeah.
I question people. Why the hell are you? Unless you got a six-figure something already
Yeah.
on deck where you
Yeah.
can kind of live, get a little bit of a breather. But if
Yeah.
you ain't got nothing already, unless you're an actor, actress out here for a gig, man, I got a question. I got a question, folk, man. I'm like, hey, man, and I love the city. Listen, I love LA. I love the
Yeah.
West Coast. It's West Coast to the casket drop, man. But I cannot
Yeah.
uh, fathom why y'all want to just come on out here and just live.
Oh man.
Just visit.
Exactly. But now I'm here for it. Well, Nick, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it,
Anytime,
man.
hit me up.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. The one and only
Sir.
Brian B. Hightower. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day, sir.
You too, man.